It was April 2015. I was at 20,000 feet on Mount Everest. I was exhausted because of the lack of oxygen. I was climbing an ice wall when the whole wall started shaking left and right, left and right. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Nepal. Avalanches started thundering down the mountain. I couldn't feel anything except sheer terror. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't breathe. I thought, this is how I'm gonna die on the mountain. I'm gonna be buried alive under the snow, and no one could ever find my body. After a few days, a helicopter came to rescue us, and a few days later, I flew back home. I was home, but my heart and my mind stayed in Nepal, haunted by devastation. That day, 10,000 people died. You see, I came back home. I physically survived the earthquake. But the emotional trauma stay with me for a long time to overcome and to deal with. I was thinking of memories, and I didn't know how to digest them. It was surreal. It was unbelievable. But I had many traumatic experiences in my life. You see, growing up in Iran, I was detained by authorities multiple times just because I was a woman walking down the street, showing a little bit of hair, a little bit of arm, living in a sheer terror, fear of being punished, being detained, that shaped me in many forms and made me more resilient. From dangers of the mountain and living in a very oppressive society who wanted to shape me, who I could be as a woman, I just had many experiences that I didn't want any of those experiences to shape me or form me or stop me from living my dreams. There was something inside me that didn't want to be silenced by fear. I wanted to go back and climb Everest again, and not just Everest. I wanted to be the first Iranian man or woman to climb the 7 highest peaks on 7 continents and raise funds and awareness for 7 nonprofit organizations that are empowering women globally. So when I went back to climb Everest again, every cell in my body was screaming, no, don't go. I didn't want to relive that nightmare again. I didn't want to be on the same wall, same mountain where the avalanche occurred. I didn't want to experience that all over again. But I thought, if I go back, if I face the wall, if I face that fear, if I stay with that trauma, then maybe I can prove myself and maybe others that no matter how big the fear and how big the trauma, we can do anything we set our mind to. So I went back and I did it, and I learned many valuable lessons that I want to share 3 of them with you today. Number 1, acknowledge your fear. You know, make friends with your fear, no matter what your challenge is, personal or professional. Acknowledge it, name it, recognize it. Make friends with your fear. Lesson number 2, break down your Everest into very small pieces. If I look at Everest as a whole, of course it is intimidating. If I think of living on the mountain for 60 days, of course it's overwhelming. But I break it down into small pieces. I only look at today. How many hours I'm gonna walk today? This section of the mountain from camp 1 to camp 2. That feels more in control. Break down your Everest into small steps and start taking them. Lesson number 3, Focus on your why. Why you're climbing this mountain? Why Everest? Why mountain? Why this challenge? The days that I was sick and I had sore throat, headache, I missed family, I didn't want to be there, I focused on my promise. I promised 7 nonprofit organizations that I would raise $1 per foot of Everest or any mountain that I climb for them to help these women who are victims of abuse or violence, victims of human trafficking, to help these women to continue their education and find better jobs. Focus on your why. It reignites your determination, your dedication to your project. So finally, on May 20th, 2022, 7 years after the earthquake, when I went back to climb Everest and when I was standing on the summit, I knew exactly what I want to dedicate my life to. Women's empowerment. I wanted to help women who, like me, experienced fear, oppressive societies, no opportunities. That's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I founded my own nonprofit, not to do something new, just because I wanted to make a direct impact. And I named it Climb Your Everest, because every day, all of us are climbing Everest, mountains, challenges. And today, I'm standing here, not as someone who climbed the 7 highest peaks on 7 continents, just as a person who experienced that level of fear and trauma, and I went back and I faced it. Most of my life, they told me I can't do anything because I'm a girl. And I was the shyest person on the planet who I couldn't even get $10 from my own mom to have a sandwich when I was hungry. If I did what I did, if I climbed these 7 mountains, if I raised $1 million for 7 nonprofit organizations, you all can do anything you set your mind to. Thank you.